Hello, welcome back to Yoga with Paige, or welcome if you are new here. Welcome back to another one of my walking chats with you. So it is one of those gorgeous days in Florida where it actually is like a little bit chilly. Our high today is 70 degrees, and this just puts me in the best mood ever. So I wanted to come on a walk while I chat with you because I kind of had a little small epiphany. I had a little epiphany moment. I'm like super excited, almost like tripping over my words. And I literally like raced outside to get this out. So if you watched one of my other videos on so there's been two actually that I'm going to reference. Why I have moved away from my asana practice as much as like this channel started with asana and that's all it really was in the beginning. So I had a video on why I moved away from it. I will link it here for you. And then I also had another video on what I do when I'm feeling super uninspired. So if I'm trying to garner more creativity and I'm feeling uninspired, I kind of talked about a few things that I do or ways that I try to find more inspiration. And one of those is looking on like Instagram and other things, maybe seeing like a new transition or something that someone says that resonates with me that like kind of starts me thinking about other ways of doing things, other videos that we can make, other classes that we can have, new unique ways to move and groove through this life. So I was kind of doing that just now I had a few seconds. I was finishing my late breakfast and I was looking through Instagram specifically. I have not been active on Instagram lately, but I have used it a few times just for a little inspiration for a few minutes. And I actually think I have figured out why, you can go ahead, why I have been moving away from my asana practice. Because there was a time when I didn't know, is he not going to go? There was a time when I didn't know why. I was really confused why I had moved away from it. I hadn't been able to put it together in my mind yet. But I think I have figured out the biggest crux of that problem, and I think I was overcomplicating it. There we have it. I think I was massively overcomplicating this thing and thinking that I had to create new classes all the time, new transitions, keep it fresh, keep it interesting, keep it creative, keep it super fun all the time. And I kind of almost forgot about the basics and started stepping away from the basics, the foundation, which is terrible because, it happens, but it's terrible because your foundation is literally the basis of your practice from which you build upon. So you cannot forget your foundation. And if you begin to forget, we got to kind of go back, jump back in and start from the beginning, start building those basic blocks back up. And I think that is what I need to do right now. Kind of go back to the beginning, start making more simple flows, because it's not like every class is all about the creativity, the fun ways to move. Yoga is supposed to be the union of body and mind and what we can accomplish in our mind as we move through these poses. It's not all about the poses. A lot of times it's about the transitions in between, the moments in between when you're moving from one to the other and how that mirrors your mind. And we can still accomplish this in the most basic beginner of postures. Child pose, downward facing dog, mountain pose. I remember when I first started my channel, I was going through it was a common breakdown of like the most common kind of beginner-ish poses. And we went through child pose, we went through cat, cow, downward facing dog, mountain pose. I believe there was like low lunge, halfway lift, forward fold, things like that, to kind of break it down and help me get on my feet of teaching, especially online. Talking to a camera can get kind of weird when you're not used to it. But it also allowed me to kind of begin this channel from a foundational viewpoint. Like, hey, we're going to go through these first few kind of foundational postures, and then we can kind of build on from there. And I think I started to kind of lose my sight there. I kind of started to maybe lose my way as I got more comfortable on camera. And as I stopped taking the whole entire class to just remember and try not to freak out and lessen my anxiety from this teaching, and as I became more comfortable, I got more creative, and I wanted to keep it fresh, keep interesting things happening. And I think I got too settled into that. I put too much emphasis and too much pressure on building up new things every day, because we don't have to have new things every day. It's actually good, I believe, for us to go back to the same routines, try the same flows, the same routines, so that we can, I think that will help foster more of a body-mind morning connection, because it enables you to know maybe what's coming next. Maybe we've done this little flow before, and when we do it the second time, you don't have to listen to me cue as much. You can now listen more to your own body and your own body's cues and what it's trying to tell you. So maybe that's where we need to go from here. And I would love to hear your feedback on this. Maybe we had some classes from earlier on that you really, really enjoyed that we could revisit. Or if you have a certain favorite poses, certain postures that you want to dive more into and that you want to make sure that I include in our future classes. I think we'll be trying to kind of simplify it a little bit, because I was definitely overcomplicating it and it made me not want to do it anymore. I'm now kind of sort of realizing that I was, placing too much pressure to come up with new things every day and every class that we had together, when we can revisit the same beginner flows, the same styles, and maybe attack them with a different perspective or a different focus in mind. Maybe one day we do the same flow, but we focus on our breath mostly. We try to attune to our breath. Then maybe the next day we try to attune to our muscles and feel all of our muscles and which muscles we're activating and which muscles we are releasing throughout this flow. And then maybe the next time we revisit the same flow, but we focus on the transitions in between, the moments in between, or we focus on where our mind is going, etc., so much and so forth. So I'm kind of just on a little friendly walk with you and spitballing ideas. That one just popped into my head that maybe we could do that for an entire week or 5 days. We'll find one class, we'll repeat the same class a few different days in a row with a different focus each time. So I actually really, really like that idea. Let me know how you feel about that one. We might actually do this here in the next coming week or two as we prepare. We officially have 2 weeks left until we go to Spain for the whole month. So we have a lot to do. I have a lot to prepare. Obviously, we'll be making new classes and things in Spain, but it'll be a little bit harder for me to be uploading every day. So we want to have some already, some going. So maybe that's what we'll do this coming week. We'll do that for a few days. I'm going to get going on that today. And yeah, I think I just wanted to run out here and kind of let you know, pull you into this little epiphany moment that I was having, because I found it so wow, how had I not thought about that before? And it took some jogging into my brain by seeing a similar message from somebody else, and that they had either gone through it or they had somebody else experience it and they were kind of talking to them about it. But it really, really resonated with me, and it made a lot of sense on why I've been pulling back from my asana practice. Because I was getting too fancy, I was getting too creative. Not too creative. I don't know if there's such a thing, but I was getting too complicated with it. I was making it way too complicated for myself. So now I need to practice what I preach and dial it back a little bit, because we can always do that. If you try too hard or you put too much on your plate, you can always get rid of one thing or dial it back. Okay, it's a lifelong balance of finding that balance between everything. But it's a fun one. It's a fun journey. So I guess that was really all I had for this little walking chat, was that in the next upcoming weeks, what you might be seeing here due to this now new thought process. Getting definitely more excited for some asana movement, some physical flows, and they will be probably definitely more beginner level, but feel free to modify them, add things in if you would like. But that is where we will be heading soon. So if you are still with me here, thank you very much for tuning in, and leave any feedback below on the suggestions and the topics that we discussed here, that we brought up. And I would love to know what you think of this idea. And I will see you next time on the mat for a nice simplified foundational flow. So thank you for tuning in to Yoga with Paige, and I will see you next time.